Season 5, Episode 20 through 22, Take 1. What is good, everybody? My name is Jake, and welcome back to the One Take series, where we get one chance to reflect on the day. No second chances, no third chances, one take and one take only. Oh my gosh, okay. It's getting a little bit late at night, so I'm going to keep this one hopefully on the shorter end, but possibly not. So, I apologize for being behind on one takes. Obviously we're going to be caught up after I upload this one. But yeah, so obviously my plan is to upload long form 6 times a week, with weekends specifically getting 2 for 1 package deal, right? So to cover the weekend, honestly, a couple of things. I spent Saturday like working a lot. Okay, that's the most I've worked in one day ever since I got down to college. And so Sunday, I just kind of felt burnt out on that aspect. I didn't really feel like doing any more work. However, we were able to get a significant amount of work on the debt counter made up for work, right? We went from, I believe it was 14, all the way down to 7.75. And in addition, we were even able to work 2 hours today. Which is massive. I don't think we're going to be able to do it tomorrow and Wednesday, so we're probably going to have to add another 4 hours to this. However, the fact that we already did 2 hours, that's 2 hours we don't have to work in the future. That's a W for me. Let's see. For the rest of these, let's see. Jesus, I want to get to. Gym, I kind of want to get to. Let's see. All the red, I really want to get to at some point. Let me see. Today for Monday. Let me see. So this is just kind of like a little bit of an update for each of the categories, right? In terms of Big Brother, since we were just talking about work, I was able to get through 2 episodes today, and then also 5 episodes on Saturday. That's not finishing the season like I had hoped to do, but I believe it's 5 more episodes left, so we should be able to finish that this week, and I am definitely excited for that. Let me see, in terms of sleep, I got 6, and then 6, 7. So, sorry, I know that's so cringe, but I still love doing it. But basically, yeah, 6 hours on both days of the weekends, but I was able to get technically 7 hours, because what ended up happening was that I fell asleep prematurely, last night, like, while I was still in my jeans and stuff. And like the light was on and all that, and so I woke up partway through, and then afterwards I had 6 hours of sleep, so that added up to about like either 7 or 8 hours. I didn't really keep track of it, but whatever it is, something in that range that technically added up to a healthy amount of sleep, right? Let's see, for the rest of it, okay. Oh yeah, okay. So for internships, right, I know I keep talking about the portfolio, and this strategy of pushing it off till the weekend just clearly isn't working. So what we have to do is that we have to start doing it partway through the week. That's really the thing that we should focus on, because if I keep pushing it off till the weekend and then by the weekend I don't want to do it, well then that's a problem, because then I keep pushing it off. So like I said, the main priority for this week is preparing for this midterm on Wednesday for the 1 p.m. That is absolutely my top priority. That is pretty much like almost nothing comes before that. So we got to get that. We got to make sure that we're ready for that. Which is why I think after we finish this, it's going to be a little bit cluttered, I believe, because the main things that we have to stress is that tomorrow for Tuesday is when we have to turn in let me see homework. And so then for Wednesday specifically, the 2 things we have going on, the one with the due date is going to be the lab report, along with the lab itself. But then like the main thing is obviously the midterm, right? And so I'll put some stars around that, just because it is obviously the most important one. And I want to make sure that nothing really comes before it. Oh yeah, and then now I just actually realized that we also have, for the unplanned pregnancy, we have a quiz there. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. But then afterwards, things are going to start to cool down. So then Thursday, then I only have a homework for the cool unk. And then for Friday, I'm going to have another quiz for the unplanned pregnancy, as well as a quiz for linear algebra, but then also a homework for linear algebra. So I think Thursday will probably be a good time to work on this. I think that'll probably fit into the schedule pretty well. However, we do have to consider that also on Thursday, I made plans with music. There's this one guy that I was originally planning on linking up with, kind of like, and I did like last semester like a couple of times, but we wanted to kind of like both get in back on track with music and stuff like that. So he asked me for advice on a song today, and he said, "Hey, do you want to meet up on Thursday? We could like make some beats and just kind of chill and stuff." I'm like, "Sure." Especially since my roommate is going to be out doing stuff on Thursday, and so I figured it was just kind of a good day to kind of like work something out. So yeah, I'll talk to my roommate about that tomorrow, and then we'll get that situated. I think that'll be exciting. But like I said, I want to try and start working on the portfolio Thursday, and then keep working on it until Sunday, right? Let's see, rest of it. What is the? Oh yeah, research. I didn't send the email out this morning. I'm gonna send it out tomorrow morning. I just kind of ended up forgetting, stuff happens. And then academics, like I said, except for the 1 p.m., I feel like we're in a pretty okay spot right now. Like I said, we're treading water. We've yet to like get ahead, but we're doing okay. Let me see. For Jim and Jesus, right? This is the thing. Okay, the first part of the title. This is what I would title like 20 through 21, Genesis 33 through 34. Okay, I was going through this one. Basically, I didn't pick up the Bible, right? I was like for Sunday. Dude, how do I even word it? It's just a crazy interaction. Okay, so I had plans on Sunday to meet up with my best friend in college, and so when he got here, right, I just kind of figured, it'd just be like a normal hangout. We'd do like a tour, right? He's hilarious. I love him so much, dude. But basically, he wanted me to. He's like I said, he's an avid follower of One Take, and so he basically asked, "Oh, well, did you read your Bible today yet?" And I said, "No, not yet." Okay, and he's like, "All right, well then that's what we're doing. We're reading the Bible, right?" And so we went through Genesis 33 at first, and so basically we were trying to talk about it, and he was trying to give us some pointers. He's asking me what I thought about it, because what he was doing was more in depth. It wasn't in depth with the stab method, but it was more about like kind of like taking 15 minutes to read and process what the passage was actually about, right? And so basically with 33, I couldn't really think of anything, right? 33 just didn't really do anything. But then 34 was really impactful, right? And so he was talking about how specifically with the Bible, some chapters feel like a steak, and then some chapters feel like oatmeal, right? And I feel like it was a good comparison, right? And so it was the thing where, like, you're not going to find, like, juicy stuff in every chapter. Like, that comes with every so often, but then sometimes oatmeal is good. It was just this whole good analogy that I really can't put into words, but it was very well done. Because the thing is that the idea is that the contrast between these two chapters was just absolutely insane, and I just had to put it in here because of it. Because basically, Genesis 33 is more about kind of like forgiveness, and just kind of the idea that like people can make up regardless of their differences. And then Genesis 34 is just no mercy, motherfucker. We're killing you and your entire village. And that's pretty much all there is to say about that, right? Naturally, there is, I feel like, some justification behind this that I'm not going to go in depth with, but it was just a crazy contrast, specifically because it made me realize just like, I feel like I overcorrected from the stab method, because my thing with the stab method was that I would spend 45 minutes essentially on one chapter per day, right? And that was a problem because it just felt like a chore to get through, right? It felt like I was like, oh, it's such like a time commitment to just do one chapter. And so then afterwards, it was a thing where if I read the Bible 2 times a day, and it's just me reading it out loud, but not processing any of the information, yes, it goes by quicker, but I'm not actually getting any of the information. So I feel like this is a good in-between. I want to try and implement this, which, by the way, I did not implement today. I apologize. But I want to try and get in the habit of 15 minutes in the morning, one passage, 15 minutes at night, another passage, right? That's the goal. Also with gym, right? No, yes, and no. The yes was on the same day because afterwards he was like, "Oh well, like what if you like have you done the gym yet?" I'm like, "Bro, you're doing too much. Like you're actually doing too much." And so we ended up doing other stuff for a little bit, but then when he was showing me some of his music, then he wanted me to go and do my gym stuff. So I'm like, okay, fine, like I'll go do my gym stuff. Okay, and I did, and admittedly, it felt good. Um, I don't know if we'd be able to do it tomorrow. Maybe we'll try and fit it into the schedule because I feel like I need 2 weeks of consistent like on my own PT in order to actually get back into the gym and start getting into the swing of things, which then we can start like getting into like the gym specifics, right? Let's see, the rest of it, is that like the whole list? I think that honestly might be the whole list. Okay, so that covers the main portion, right? As for the other stuff, let me see. Money. Let me see. We've made some money. That's for sure. We've absolutely made some money. We need to do some quick maths though. So there's the 120 that we made, 125 that we made over the weekend, plus the 2 hours here, which means that we've made 165 over the last 3 days. Okay, that's pretty good. And it's a good amount to make up. Very proud of that, and we'll keep going. But like I said, we might not try and fit it into the schedule tomorrow and Wednesday purely just so we can focus on this midterm, because this midterm is an actual, like, it's absolutely crucial. It very well could determine how I approach the rest of the class. So we just need to focus on that. And that's the thing, is like academics come first, right? Like at the end of the day, like my scholarship is paying more. Like the scholarships that I have, okay, I have one that basically pays $4,000 per semester, and in addition, I was able to get another scholarship or get like apply for it after I got it like my senior year. That gives me $5,000 a semester, and so those are way more important to keep with the high GPA. Compared to my job, even though my job allows me to pay for rent, right? It is still important, but we have some money stored in the account, and I think we're in a good position with that to where right now let's just focus on school, and then once we have the time, then we can start going into the hours, right? Let's see, for the rest of them, let me see. Oh yeah, okay, so dude, control over urges. Oh my gosh, dude, we made it. Today is day 24, bro. We made it past day 23, 24. This is officially now the longest streak that I've ever had, and I am extremely proud. I very much cannot be prouder of this. And I plan to keep it going. I really do, because I mean, the confidence, it just keeps spilling over. It doesn't really stop. And especially, I mean, today was definitely an easier day. I won't lie. So, I mean, we'll just keep going. It feels good to have defeated this and overcome this, but I know that it's not completely over with yet. I know that's one thing about the devil, is that he will always be on the attack. He will always probably try to use this. I'll probably be on like day freaking like 267. 67. Okay, anyways, I'm sorry. I like doing it though. It's funny, okay? I think it's funny, okay? I need to put more emphasis into it. Normally I would, but it's late at night and I don't know if my roommate is sleeping. So, I mean, I'm very proud of what I'm doing, but yeah, I wouldn't doubt if there's a point later on in the future where Satan still tries to tempt me with that. But I mean, my honest reaction is that I'll just think back to this, like, to just how long we've gone without it, and the fact that we don't do that anymore. That's simply my attitude from now on, because like I said, even though it is very easy to keep track of how many days, because it literally is just whatever day of one take I am on plus 2 days. That's pretty much how you would add it and do the math. The idea is that we just simply don't do that anymore, and I will try my absolute hardest to not think about the streak, because like I said, the more that you think about the streak, the more likely you are to succumb to that kind of stuff. So I mean, let's see if we can reach 30 days. Not if. I'll update you when we reach 30 days. And other than that, I think once after 30 days, then like I'll check back in at around episode 90, 88 of like the series for this season, and just kind of tell you guys. And if I break it before then I'll let you guys know. But after this, I really want to make it a point of like not making it a big deal, right? Of kind of like the streak and stuff like that. I want to make that like more of a thing because, like I said, I mean, we're overcoming it, and now we're at a point where we don't have to focus on beating it because we've already kind of beat it. We just have to keep beating it in the future and make sure it doesn't come back. So I'm very grateful for that. With connections, ooh, you know what? I need to erase this. Okay? And then I need to put a question mark as well. Because, okay, very interesting stuff, right? I'm debating on whether I want to get into a little bit of Jake lore. I think I might have to, for the sake of the rest of this making sense. About a year ago, ironically enough, well, okay, yeah. About a year ago, right, there was this one girl that, well, actually, to take it all the way back, right? My second semester, there was this one girl that I kind of met through like a brief interaction, right? We had two of the same back-to-back classes, and we were just kind of talking, and it was like a nice interaction. It was a nice conversation. And so basically, there was a point where we were going to be late to class, but then I showed her this one route that was quicker than the usual one, and because of it, we got to class on time. And so it was just a cool interaction, and we were like, okay, we'll see you later, right? And so then later on, I was kind of hoping that because, I guess I could name drop those two because they aren't like course specific. Basically, that one was for Calc 2, right? And then so when we got to Vector Calc the next semester, I was kind of just silently hoping like, oh, like I kind of wish like low-key that she's in my Vector Calc class. Needless to say, she was in my Vector Calc class, right? And so I was like really excited about that, and we were kind of just like talking beforehand, and then afterwards it was a thing where, right, you know what, I'll take my time with this story. I'll try and take my time because it is fun. It is an interesting story. So pretty much, it starts off with me kind of like, we make eye contact and wave, and she sits by me, not in the class, but like outside of the class, and she's like, are you ready for Vector? And I'm like, I think so, and I hope so. And she said, that's a good answer, right? And so we're just kind of talking about the class, and so when we're walking in, then she's kind of talking with someone that she knows, and I'm kind of like, okay, this is probably the part where we split ways, it's time to find a partner. And she's like, you know, I'll sit with you. And I'm like, okay, sure. Like, I don't mind that at all, right? I really don't mind that because, I mean, normally I wouldn't have, like, the confidence to do that, right? And so, basically, it was kind of cool because we were sitting next to each other for the longest time. We still sat together the entire semester, right? But there was just that point of like, it just kept kind of building and building, and like the more and more I got, because I kind of had that inference like when I first kind of like got to know her and stuff, but like the more and more time went on, the more of a feeling I got of just low-key like she is wife material, right? And she is really cute, and she's smart, and she's pretty, and she's like all of the things, right? And so it was just a thing of, I was really wanting to kind of like ask her out, right? And so it was the week, I remember it was, because I remember this because it was the week that 9/11 happened, right? And so I believe that 9/11 was on a Wednesday, and this is relevant to the story, okay? I wouldn't be bringing it up if it wasn't relevant to the story. Okay, yeah, a couple of interactions actually before that. So there were just certain things like, let me see, she was like, I'm trying to remember basically there were like a few interactions here and there, right? Where she's like, there's like a group of people that were like in a group, like kind of like in a group with around us, and she was laughing specifically only at my jokes. And I'm like, okay, like that's kind of a sign, right? There were just things like that. And then like kind of the TA, she was friends with the TA. People were saying that her and the TA looked alike, right? And so then the TA was kind of like almost like acting as like a wing woman for her, and kind of like saying like when the girl was having her phone out, then basically the TA was kind of like, hey, like don't like put your phone away, like what are you doing on your phone? Like you shouldn't be on your phone. Be more like this gentleman over here who's not on his phone. It's like, okay, you know what, like it's like some, you know, some wing woman activity, right? And so I remember it was the week of 9/11 where it was just like, okay, like I have to ask her out. Like it's just getting to a point where I can't hold it in, right? And so specifically because like I knew that if I keep going and going and going, then I'm just gonna keep dragging it down. And I just need an answer at this point. Okay, September 9th happens. Okay, and I don't ask her out. Right, we kind of walk for a little bit and we part ways. Okay, September 10th, we walk for a little bit and then we part ways. Right, and then it comes specifically to, I can't remember. It was either on a Thursday I can't remember if it was a Thursday or a Wednesday. It was one or the other. Um, Man, I don't even know. I guess it probably might have been a Wednesday, but basically, ironically enough, it was on 9/11, right? And so I was just like, okay, like I know that it is. Like, it depends on how she takes it, right? If she's more somber because of the holiday, then I'm going to try that and just like wait, like put it off, right? But then if not, then I'm just gonna go for it, right? And so I get to the class, and it turns out that 9/11 is her birthday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I am about to ask this girl out on her birthday, bro. Like, I genuinely cannot believe, right? I cannot believe that this is actually something that's happening. Because it was a thing of, once again, like, I can't just keep making excuses to put off asking her, right? And so we walk for a decent portion of the walk. And then it comes to a point where I ask her, right? I just pop the question of just like I think, just this whole thing of like, I want to go out with you pretty much, right? And so her response, I remember, was, "Oh, Jake, I'd love to, but I have a boyfriend, right?" Pretty much from that point out of the conversation, I was just like spacing out because I was like, I was shocked. I was honestly shocked because it didn't seem like it based on the way that she was leading it on. But I mean, it is what it is. I think basically partway through when I was zoning out in the conversation, she said, "I thought that you and insert name here were more of a thing," right? The insert name here was the TA that we were talking about, right? It was the TA. Remember when I was talking about how the TA was like the wing woman or whatever? Apparently the TA was the one that had a crush on me and not me. So that was definitely crazy, right? The reason why I specifically bring this up was because she, at one point, the TA was within my major, right? So just to finish out the rest of the story, I was devastated with the one girl after I asked her out, but we still kind of remained friends afterwards. However, afterwards it was a thing of the TA was like kind of like being like a little more like, that was more of a thing where we started interacting more. However, I was just like, it was a thing of like, man, like the TA, like, yes, she is cute and yes, she does have like a bunch of good attributes as well. However, I wanted this one girl. Like, I didn't want your friend, I wanted you, okay? So for you to go and refer me over to your friend, like, it's some freaking like, please stay on the line for a date. Like, it's just not my vibe, right? I wanted one person. If that one person doesn't want me, I don't want it. I don't want an answer of, oh, I can't, but here's this other person. No, I wanted you, okay? So that's basically what it was, right? And so the thing is that obviously me and the TA, we were specifically on bad terms after that, right? Because I mean, naturally, like, it's just a weird thing of, she was into me, I wasn't into her, right? And nothing was gonna happen out of it. The reason why I bring it up was because she was within my major, right? In my specific designated field of engineering, right? And so I believe she maybe like dropped out of that major and she switched to a different one. However, she obviously made friends within our major, right? And so basically there was this one girl, there's this other girl, this third one, that just paid zero attention to me whatsoever when I was in my sophomore year, back when I was like wearing the hoodie, when I wasn't putting effort into anything, right? The second day of classes, I don't know if I brought this up, but the second day of classes, I walk into my cool unk class, and then that's when she just like, this third girl, right? She basically just, all of a sudden, she's just standing, she stops, she looks at me, like these wide eyes, she's like smiling and waving in this really awkward thing, and I'm like, interesting, very interesting, right? Okay, the reason why I specifically bring this up is because this girl is friends with the TA that I was just referring to, right? They were friends. And so it was a weird thing of, I mean, for the longest time I didn't see the TA. I kind of knew that the person who was the TA for my vector calc class was in my 1 p.m. for this semester, right? And so naturally we haven't had like too many interactions, right? Because obviously we're still not on the greatest terms, whatever. Okay, and so basically regarding that, it's a thing where, oh my gosh, just every time this third girl like looks at me, I don't know if it's just by coincidence or whatever it is. I really don't know what it is, but it just so happens that like every time I just so happen to like catch her like looking at me, and she's over there like giggling to her friends or whatever. I'm like, Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh. And it's a thing where, okay, there are just three things, right? There are, so I need to finish the story. I really need to do a better job of like finishing stories before I trail off, right? Okay, so that's the thing, right? And so then afterwards, when I'm going to retake a quiz for the 1 p.m., I will say, just on a side note, because it is relevant to this, when I was going to retake it, there's this one person who I was a lab partner with for like one lab, and then after, because I was trash at the time, and like in terms of like actually getting stuff done. And so naturally that was also bad terms, but then when I was there, I found him and a bunch of other people in my major, and he was like, welcome. And I was like, what the heck? Like somebody is talking to me? Because usually within our major, a lot of people, we just coexist. Like we just like, we know each other, like we know each other, quote unquote, but then we don't actually know each other. We don't talk to each other. So for people that actually talk to me, I was definitely shocked, right? But the thing is that the person that was TAing for vector calc, right? They came out of the 1 p.m.'s professor office, after their office hours, and so then she was basically talking about, oh, like what are you guys doing here? And we're basically like, I'm about to answer, and then the one guy that I was like lab partner with like ages ago was basically, that was like the bad terms guy, was basically saying like, oh, we got to retake the quiz and stuff. And so she was like, good luck. And so I basically kind of like, I was like turning to her, I was like, wait a minute, like, did you like take the quiz for it? And she was like, yeah, I just took the quiz. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, thank you very much. And so then she was, because she was laughing, well, she wasn't laughing, she was like smiling the whole time. She had like a smiley expression. And then afterwards, she was kind of like, when she was saying bye, right, she was still smiling, and she was like kind of like a soft laugh as well, or a soft laugh as well. Okay, and so now it's just a thing where I'm just like so confused on what is actually going on. Much like you probably are with that whole story, because I am confusing myself with my tired ass. But basically, if you were able to follow all of that, the idea is that now it's a thing where someone within my major likes me. Okay, oh my gosh, it's just such a mess. It's such a mess, bro. It's such a mess. It's all a mess. Okay, to recap, there was this girl that I liked, and this is because just so we can be on the same page, and so that way it's not just me talking. I want you to get the actual plot out of this, just like the full Jake lore in terms of this aspect of the story, right? This was one of two big relationship encounters that I had last semester, and it's bleeding into this semester, or not last semester, but last year, that's bleeding into this semester. I'll talk about the fourth semester drama at a different date. But specifically for this one, I liked a girl. I asked her out. She said no. She said, I'd love to, but I have a boyfriend. And then she referred me over to her friend, which was TAing for that class at the time. Said TA made a friend within my major. That friend now, I believe, has a crush on me. And that friend has shared that information probably with the TA, which is why they were also soft laughing and giggling, right? And smiling specifically. Okay? All weird. It's all weird. It doesn't make any sense to me. And my answer to pursuing that is no. Absolutely not, for three reasons, okay? One, because like I said, the history is too twisted. The history is too twisted, okay? There's already all of these factors, and it's the fact that if I were to hypothetically go out with this person, even though she seems cool, right? She seems like a very cool person. I don't want it to be, it's nothing against her. It's nothing against her and everything about my personal beliefs, right? The thing is that if I were to go out with her, then I am going to have to re-endure life with this TA, right? I'm going to have to reignite that, and I don't want that, right? That's a big thing. If you are trying to search for your partner, right? A big indicator of who this person is like is very much like connected and correlated with the people that they surround themselves with. If you want a good idea on who is a green flag and who is a red flag, look at who their friends are. I'm telling you, that will most likely denounce whether or not they are green flag or red flag material. So that's one thing, it's just the connection between friends, right? Number two is the fact that me personally, okay, I want to date someone who is either Christian or at the bare minimum is open to converting to Christian, right? I want one of those two, right? Simply put, that was a big thing for last semester. I swear we'll get to that lore when we get to the lore, but that's only like if it actually bleeds into stuff. But long story short, the other piece of drama last semester taught me a very important lesson of, even if you agree on all of the little stuff, if you don't agree on the big things like religion or politics, then the relationship will probably not work, right? Which is why, me personally, I want to date someone who is Christian, or like I said, at the very least, open to the Christian religion, right? And open to Jesus. Because I want to raise kids and unanimously agree, hey, Jesus is life, or Jesus is good, and we should all have Jesus in our lives. I want that to be a unanimous thing. So the fact that she, especially because there was this whole rally going on, right, just to actually like go into the details of it, there's basically this, it was pretty much some sort of like, I don't know, it wasn't technically like a rally, it was more like a stage, and this one guy kind of like preaching on the stage. A bunch of people were surrounding it. It was more than just like those debate channels where people go around debating college students, much like Charlie Kirk, right? It was more than that. It was some sort of like event, but I wasn't really aware of it, right? And so the guy, we can hear him talking from a mile away, and he was basically talking about, he was saying something about like, oh, like, because like the event was, it literally said like Jesus saves or whatever, Jesus blah blah blah. And so basically the guy on the stage is talking about like, he's pretty much like shouting to the crowd, like in like an excited tone, right? Like, if you feel bound, excuse my language, but if you feel bound by like pornography or like masturbation or any of those things, like come up on stage basically, right? And so he's screaming emphatically about it because he's basically like, don't let these things bound you, right? Like, that's kind of the message that he's getting across, which I absolutely agree. I mean, like, I agree, it's a bad thing and people should try their best to break free of it, and getting to Jesus is the best way to break free of it, right? And so I just because I overheard like just this girl, right, the friend who is into me currently, and I just hear her laughing from a distance away, and she's like, oh, that's so stupid, like, oh my gosh, like, freaking like just really take some time to think about it, like oh, like, if you have trouble with pornography, then come up and show yourself to the world. Okay, yeah, fair point, yes, it is probably a little bit embarrassing for anyone who did it, but that's not the point. The point is that they're being saved by Jesus, and if you can't save that, then we can't date. Simply put, we cannot date, and we will not work, because if you don't see the importance of someone coming forward for their sin, then what am I supposed to do when I am being honest with you about something that I've sinned about, and then you start to freak out about it, or you start to laugh about it? Like, that's not the type of stuff that I roll with, right? Number 3, simply put, I don't have the time. I don't have the time for a relationship. I don't. Have you seen the 10 sections that I'm working on? This is plenty. If I were to get into a relationship right about now, I mean, you already know that I'm not able to complete all 10 of these in a day. If I were to get into a relationship, at least half of these would be blocked out, at the bare minimum. So, absolutely not. I don't have the time for that right now, and I don't have the time to tolerate it. We will get into a relationship when I actually have the time for a relationship. That is my idea on it. Because I've dated a total of 2 people in the past. Okay, neither of them have been like 2 serious relationships. One of them lasted 2 weeks. One of them lasted 3 weeks. And simply put, I believe, to my understanding, the reason those relationships ended on my part, I didn't end the relationship, but I believe the reason they ended was because I wasn't putting enough effort and time into the relationship, which is absolutely fair enough, right? I don't blame them at all. So when I get into a relationship, I want to make sure that I actually have the time to like love someone properly. I mean, simply put. And like I said, right now is just not the time, right? Now is not the time. I'm currently satisfied. Right now is just about grinding the frick out of life, and then we keep on going and going and going. That is really what it's about. So, I mean, like, that's the reason behind the second part of this title for this episode. Okay, that's my point, is I just can't be bothered. I just cannot be bothered with women with all the people in my community, with all of just that, okay? There are just certain things that I do not have the time to focus my attention on, and relationships is one of them, right? That's why I specifically brought back the women category for this. Just as a reminder of what we're here for. We're here to grind. We are not here for a relationship right now, okay? A relationship will come when the time is right. So that is pretty much everything, okay? Probably this is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but naturally we're covering 3 days and we're dropping a bunch of Jake lore. So I mean, naturally, like, this is going to be a long episode. So what did we learn from today? Well, we learned, right? Okay, first of all, let's get the obvious one out of the way. Relationships will occur on its own, right? Everybody says love will come when you least expect it, and that is an answer that most single people hate. But as a single person myself, it is true and it is to be expected, honestly. Because the thing is that think about this, okay? Your future husband or your future wife, for all my single people out there, okay? Your future husband or your future wife is currently out there getting all the character development they need in order to be your future spouse. That's really it. Okay, I know all of my married people that are watching this, because I know that there are a few married people. The thing is that you start to realize that yes, to some degree, you guys wish that you met sooner, right? Maybe there are some people that feel like that. But truth be told, if you guys have met sooner, chances are you probably wouldn't have worked, because there was a certain amount of character that was needed to be built in order for you two to meet each other and to actually work, right? And so for single people, it's the same thing. God has good timing. His timing is perfect, and he will let you meet someone when he feels as though you are ready to meet someone and that you two are ready for a relationship. Because by forming it's something that it comes along when it's ready, right? When you throw when you throw a cake in the oven, right? The thing about a cake is that you can't force it to be done immediately, right? The cake will get done when the cake needs to get done, right? The cake will be cooked when it finishes cooking. You can't just partway through your what is it? Your I don't even know, not microwaving the eggs or some dumb shit like that. But you can't be partway into baking the cake and then there still be runny egg in the cake when you take it out. No, let it bake, let it develop, and then eventually it will become something beautiful, okay? That's number one. Number two is going to be the fact that if you are getting into something, make sure that you are actually paying attention, right? Don't do unintentional stuff. That should really be the second lesson, is don't do anything unintentional. Because I did not realize just how much I was missing in the Bible, because I was getting plot points, but I was analyzing on a super surface level, okay? The word that they use, okay, Genesis 34, I apologize for a bunch of dark topics, especially explicit content, but Genesis 34, right, oh my gosh, it was so dark. It was so dark. Basically, there was this one guy who humiliates, okay, the word is humiliates in the Bible, who humiliates this one girl, and then basically, there's this whole thing of but then he falls in love with her, and then that's why people end up getting killed, right? It's because the guy humiliates her, okay? Which on its own, okay, it's a little confusing if you were to just take the literal context of that. It's oh well, that's weird. A guy humiliated this one girl, and then all of a sudden fell in love, and then because of that people want to kill him for it. That's a little extreme, right? But then you realize, you stop and pause, wait a minute, but the word humiliates is a very interesting word. And I'm very glad that I was reading it with my friend, because my friend actually pointed out that by humiliated, the Bible meant raped. That's actually the literal meaning of what humiliated meant. And so it's okay, well then that adds a lot more context to the story, right? If someone is committing an actual crime that violates somebody and violates, needless to say, their sister, then absolutely it makes a lot more sense on why someone would show a lot less mercy, right? Because it's such a serious offense versus humiliated. So really take the time to analyze what you're doing. stop in your, like, take a moment, like, every, like, so often to just stop and think about, okay, what am I doing? Like, what actually am I doing? Or, like, if you're reading, like, what actually am I reading? Just do stuff like that. Do intentional activities, right? Don't do mindless stuff. Don't do things where you can just turn off your brain. Because the thing is that if you turn off your brain, you're going to skip past important things, right? That's just naturally how your brain works. So make sure you're paying attention, right? Okay, number 3 is going to be, what should number 3 be? Number 3, Albert Einstein quote. I believe it's Albert Einstein. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. We're going a little insane with that internship, I'm not going to lie. I absolutely want to get that portfolio done, but simply put, pushing it off till the weekend is not working. We need a new game plan, and that's why we're trying to formulate a new game plan. So, new game plan, we try and start it on Thursday when all of the serious stuff is out of the way. Okay, that way we actually have time, okay? That's it. That's the 3rd lesson. I am tired as fuck. And thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Cut.